Hey there, my name is Alayna Thomas, and I am a retention strategist at Magnet Culture. When I am traveling to train leaders across the country, there is one common denominator, no matter the level of leader or the industry, and it is, Alayna, I do not have time. I wish that I could give you the time today that you need. I don't have magic superpowers, and I cannot do that, but I can get close. I have some tools, specifically AI or artificial intelligence tools that I would love to share with you that can help take that really daunting task. Sitting down to write a job description from scratch or trying to plan how to make something more attractive for a new hire. I want to take that daunting task for you and help make it faster and easier because you don't have time. You don't have time to take an idea and put it into action because you have needs and conflict and new responsibilities coming at you from every direction. So if this sounds helpful, keep watching and let me get my screen shared here for you. There are two common AI tools that you might have heard of. Actually, there are dozens and it can be quite overwhelming. So how about I give you the two that I like the most and that I use the most? The first is ChatGPT. You'll just go to chatgpt.com. That's the screen that I'm showing you here. And you have two options with this specific AI tool. You can just start typing, or you can create an account. So if you want to look back at what you did, if you want to have a record of all of your conversations here, I would recommend you hit sign up and create an account. If you just have a quick question and you don't care about saving it, just start typing. So this is the first one that I'm going to show you, and then I'll show you about my other friend, Claude, my other assistant, if you will. Let's start with the beginning of a job, right? When we want to apply, I apologize, when we want someone to apply for a job, we need them to have something to apply to. And that's where a job description comes in. These tools can help you create the first draft. So let me put in a prompt here. I want ChatGPT to create a job description for an LPN role at a long-term care nonprofit. The more context you can give, the better. I'm keeping this generic and I am going to use a couple senior care, long-term care examples first because I do most of my work in this space and Magnet Culture does about 80 to 90% of our work in this space. So first, create a job description for an LPN role at a long-term care nonprofit. You can either hit the enter button on your keyboard or press this up arrow. Let's watch it get to work. So you can see this is spitting this out in real time for us. I'm not expecting you to read this as it goes, but I want you to see this in action. You always have the option of typing stop if it is going too long or you need to focus on something else or it's not on the right track. You can always write stop, but we're almost there because now we're to the benefits section and how to apply. Okay, here we are. I don't know if anyone was counting, but maybe 30 seconds. So if I scroll up to the top, I asked for a job description for a licensed practical nurse, an LPN. And what this is giving me is the typical template for a job description. Give a little overview of your organization. If you typed in your organization name, it would have even populated this with things that it found from your company website. Position summary, key responsibilities. Look at this. This is great. And then qualifications. That's important too. So maybe you realize when you're reading this that actually you don't just want an LPN job description. You're trying to create more growth opportunities for your current LPNs. Maybe you want a stair step or a stepping stone style of job description. So let's ask about that. Instead of this, and this is great, ChatGPT, you don't have to tell it that, but you always can. I am going to give one more prompt. Could you actually create 3 job descriptions for a level 1, level 2, and level 3 LPN? And maybe I don't need the whole thing. I just need the responsibilities, or some people would say competencies. It's hard to type. Well, I know I'm being watched. I just need the responsibilities and qualifications. Let's see what it does. So now what we're doing is we are saying, I need more than that. And it's giving us something that we actually can use. What you can do, well, we'll give it some time to do this. You can go and now copy and paste this into a document. Maybe you guys use Microsoft. You can use a Microsoft document, Google document, right? And you can go and copy and paste this. And the next step from anything that you do here in AI is going to be to edit it. This is a first draft, and this is not a human writing this, right? This is technology. This is the power of technology. But you need to make this sound like you, sound like your organization. So this is a great first draft, and then you can use it to do the rest that you need. Is it still going? Let's see. It looks like we're done. Oh, almost. So one other thing that you'll notice is ChatGPT will give you a little summary at the end. So here is the mentality that it had. These descriptions outline the different levels of LPNs based on their experience and responsibilities. Level 1 focuses on basic. Level 2 demonstrates more independence. Level 3 takes on complex care tasks. Let me know if you need any adjustments. I feel pretty good about this. So this is a way that you can use this tool for those specific areas. Let's say that I want to, I'm going to copy this here, and that is going to copy everything above it. So everything from my last prompt, I'm copying the entire thing. Let me show you what Claude can do. This is just another AI tool. All of them have different pros and cons. Let me walk you over to another one. So Claude here is just a different tool. And one of the main areas, many people like Claude, you can see these pop-ups here for things like coding or research are two very heavy features, but I found that it works for the exact same things that we're talking about today. For Claude, you can't just use it without signing in. So I'm actually going to log into my Claude account here. And if you want to use Claude, you'll need to create an account. You can either join with Google or your personal or work email. Before you use your work email, I do want to make a quick note is that you want to make sure that you don't have any organization-wide policies that say you can't use AI. So just double check first before you do that. Always want to make sure that we're following those policies. So this is my work email. Email me if you need anything. And this does a two-factor security for me is how I have it set up on my account. So I am going to go over to my email here and click the link to get signed in. Okay. And I clicked the link over on the other screen. So let me just pull this over in here. Okay, you can see it looks similar. We've got the chat box, right? If you have used AI and this is a bit too beginner for you, don't worry, I'm about to show you some really cool things. But let me show you one more document that we can use here. So I already asked over in this document, I apologize, not document. I already asked over in this chat for it to create something that I can turn into a document. So let's say that I actually used that to create a document, and I created a job description. I can use AI to ask for some opinions. I can use it as an advisor, not just a first draft person. I can use it as an editor. So I'm going to say, see the attached caregiver retention specialist job description. This is something that we've created. What is it missing that could attract more candidates to this role? So I'm trying to make this more attractive. Please exclude any company names or identifying information. And that's just, you don't usually have to say that. I'm putting that here because it does have a logo on it that I don't want to be included. I am going to hit send. Let's see. Okay. You'll notice right now that we've already got, this is going a bit faster. I am using the paid version. I use a paid account for Claude, and sometimes that is a pro. The paid account can be a bit faster, but we're still talking seconds here. So I asked it to analyze and tell me what it's missing. And here are the key elements. Talk about compensation and benefits. I didn't have that in my job description. Talk about the schedule. People want to know what their schedule is. Growth opportunities. What's the work environment? And then also, how does this apply to caring for our customer, or in this case, caring for our resident? And then if you have any other perks, include those too. So it has so many ideas here. Then what Claude does is it says, would you like me to elaborate on any of these areas? So I could then use this to say, hey, build me a job description that includes all of this stuff. That is great. But let's say I'm good to go on that. I read that, I go edit that over on my own. Okay, here's a new idea that I have. I just am going to have it do this again. I want it to do 2 tasks at one time. So I'm going to ask the same question. Can you create 3 job descriptions for a level 1, level 2, level 3 LPN? And then I'm going to ask, can you create an onboarding checklist for day 1, week 1, month 1, and quarter 1, specifically for level 2 based on this job description? I specifically picked day 1, week 1, month 1, quarter 1, because that's what we teach at Magnet Culture. That is key to onboarding, or as we like to call it, an on-ramp. And if you aren't familiar with that, you can go and read some of our blogs or even attend one of our classes coming up. But let's see what it has to say. Now you can see a difference between the 2 tools as well. So Claude is creating this over in a document format that's over on the right that I can just download this document right away. And then over on the left, it's going to tell me in just a minute, it's going to tell me I don't know if thought process is the right phrase to use. You'll hear me interchanging, technology and kind of human terminology here. I'm not an expert on this. I'm more of a beginner user, but it'll tell us exactly what it's doing. So the level 2 onboarding checklist is structured to ensure thorough integration into both clinical and leadership responsibilities with clear milestones. So look at this. I mean, let me just pick one section to show you. So for week 1, it's saying, hey, don't forget about clinical systems training, department-specific training, safety training, all of this. This is a great tool that you can use. Let's say you're all set on documents. You are good to go. You're like, I already have the job descriptions and I have the onboarding checklist. Like, I'm set. Another area that is quite tricky for managers and for leaders is when you have to have a hard conversation, whatever that looks like for you. I want to give you an example of a feedback conversation, a constructive feedback conversation. Maybe you just don't know where to begin and you don't really have time to brainstorm this with someone else. You can use AI as your brainstorming partner. Let me give one more prompt and then I'll give you a couple more tips overall. So let me go back over to ChatGPT, right? We can use either one of these. And I'm going to give it as much context as I feel is appropriate. I'm a manager and I need to deliver constructive feedback to my maintenance technician for coming in late. How can I get the conversation started in a way that demonstrates our company values of excellence, integrity, respect, and customer focus? If you have any more details, put them in here. The only details that you don't want to include for an unpaid account is going to be any identifying company information. So you wouldn't want to put like the first and last name of this employee in here. Maybe you don't even want to put your company name in here. In this free account, this information can be used to train the AI system. I'm probably not saying that exactly spot on. Like I said, I'm a beginner, but the search is here. This information becomes part of public domain when it's in this unpaid account. I don't say that to scare you, but that is why many companies have policies around the use of this. Usually when you have a paid account, like I do with Claude, that information is not used to then train or is not put out on the public domain. All that said, let's see what advice it has for us. So first, it's giving us some general idea about how to deliver constructive feedback. Set a positive tone, address the issue with integrity, right? Including that core value. And so you've got both some advice, some general best practices, and then what I find the most helpful is an example phrase because sometimes I just can't find the words. So I want to start by recognizing the hard work you've been putting in, especially with fill in the blank, a positive achievement. Your contributions really help the team. However, I noticed, and here we keep going. Now, we also teach a feedback class where I might even include things. If you took my feedback class, you would then go in here and say, hey, can you help me come up with a way to have this conversation based on noticing, asking for clarification, and making a request with empathy and curiosity. That's our feedback formula at Magnet Culture. You can type in that stuff. You can take notes from a great training that you went to or something that's really important to you, and you can add that in here, and you will get even more tailored responses. I hope that's helpful. I hope that's a good start for you all. Remember that you can download these things, you can put them into another system, but a couple more tips for you, some best practices here. I mentioned paid accounts and using those. Make sure that you use those when you have really confidential or important information that you don't want to be part of public domain, right? So that's one thing, first and foremost. Consider if a paid account makes the most sense. The second is that there are more tools than this. So one other example is Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft, if you use Word, PowerPoint, Excel, you can use Microsoft Copilot to specifically create some of those documents for you. It can give you a good starting template that is a beautiful PowerPoint that you need to use for this training. It can help take your kind of chicken scratch typing of an outline and actually form more teaching points, right? So that is another. Consider these other tools and explore. You'll also notice if you use Google, whenever you do a Google search, you see Gemini pop up. That is Google's AI. I mean, you will begin to see this everywhere, like a new car. When you get a new car and you see that car everywhere, you'll start seeing AI everywhere if you aren't already. Whatever you get back, I want you to remember that this has not been proofread. It still needs some tweaking, it still needs some editing, and it needs your critical thinking as a human to make this specific to your organization and your role. You can always continue to have kind of a conversation back and forth with AI. You can say, tweak that, tweak that. But even when you do that, I want you to take whatever you have from that, you put it in another document, go ahead and read it through, make sure it makes sense for you. I hope this is helpful. I hope you feel like you have a little bit more time, or at least the tasks that you have won't take as much time as you thought. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if there is anything else you have questions on, and I'm excited to see what you create and what you're able to accomplish with this tool. Thanks so much and see you next time.